Okay, so welcome guys to another fresh episode of Kickstart with Rohan. And this episode is going to be another special episode because generally we talk here about the professional fields, but to get a diversion from it, for today we will having a look towards another particular field which is most common in the Indian education system. And for this we have today Pratiti Chakraborty with me. Welcome Pratiti to my show. Thanks for giving us time in this busy schedule and accepting my invitation.
Thank you for inviting me here. I'm really blessed and I'm really honored and I'm really glad.
Okay, just giving an introduction to Pratiti. She has completed his graduation from Loreto College in English Honours, and in the same field she has completed his masters from University of Hyderabad. So in this episode we'll be talking about English Honours basically, or in the general line, because it's one of the most common topic that people choose after completing 12 or joining in the college. So let's begin the session. Okay, first thing I want to know, Pratiti, that after completing your 12, when you joined or when you begin your graduation, what made you intended to go for this particular field?
See, actually, it was not that I took a drastic decision after my 12th grade that I'll go for English. I was always a very avid reader. Okay, so from my 8th grade only, I realized that okay, science is not my field. I'm not cut out for that. The bottom line is that I was very weak in maths, but then again, I knew that I was cut out for literature. So from my 8th grade only, I had made a steady decision and I had aimed for the fact that I will take up English Honours, and if I take it up, I'll take it up from a good college. So that was my aim, and thank God, touch wood, I did that. So yeah.
Okay, now this question I will place to you because I also face this kind of situation. You completed your graduation from Kolkata, West Bengal, or specially mentioning under Calcutta University. So here you are getting one structure or curriculum, and you have completed your masters from Southern India from University of Hyderabad. There is a completely different structure at the curriculum that they follow, or even in the way of approach. Okay, so how do you deal with the situation? What are the merits and demerits that you faced or you want to convey to your viewers?
See, on a very personal level, I would like to say that the syllabus which Calcutta University follows, mainly not only in relation to literature and humanities, but also there is an overall complaint, a very prevalent complaint that Calcutta University is cliche, it's faded, and people no longer want to study here, and those who are studying here, they are suffering a tremendous amount of mental pressure, and more so because of the new UGC guidelines that have come out that we all know about. But even before that, so when I was a student of Calcutta University, I had to go through the same. Okay, of course, if you take it down to a very narrow level as in if you take it down to the basic level of marking system. So there is an overall complaint that people here, the university people, they don't give you marks, okay, and they don't, you can't score well, you can't score about 60, and especially if you are from a humanities background, then it becomes even more difficult. So of course I faced the same, alright, and from my graduation days only, I was bent on going out of the university, and I thought that okay, so I want my academics, my approach towards academics to be more, technical level, not technical as you engineers understand, but technical as in something different, a totally different approach, not the traditional prehistoric approach that we follow, or that we have been following. So I'll tell you, when I was in Calcutta University, so the marking system and the structure of the examinations was completely different. It was not semester based. It was part based, because we had 3 years.
3 years.
Okay. Part 1, part 2 and part 3. So we got about 1 year to study a whole amount, okay. And the syllabus was never ending. But when I went to University of Hyderabad for my master's, we had to complete that syllabus within 4 months. So that was like huge. And I thought that I would not be able to survive. Okay. But then again, when I went to University of Hyderabad, like the approach towards academia there is totally different. It's interdisciplinary. We don't follow we don't stick ourselves to what's telling Goldrich and these people. Of course, we have traveled far beyond these people, and now we are taking up people like not I won't say Jhumka Lahiri, but Amitabh Ghosh who are exploring him more. And also, like there is also an interdisciplinary approach towards literature. So in the last semester only, like in my fourth semester, the fourth and the last semester, so I had taken up this course, and I had chosen this course called New Humanities. Okay, and those of you who are literature enthusiasts, or those of you who are taking up literature right now, or who want to pursue, like who want to delve into literature further by traveling into academia only, by staying in the field of academics, so they would know about this person called Pramod K. Nair. Okay, so he is mainly known among the literature circle. Okay, so he was our HOD, head of the department. So he was the one who was offering the course. Okay, New Humanities. So I took up the course because this was a new course, and I never thought that New Humanities was a course which can be, included as part of the literature syllabus. So there we studied medical humanities, there we studied environmental humanities, okay, and all of these are interdisciplinary. Like we are talking about the human heart in medical humanities, but then again, the heart is the speaker there, the heart is the narrator, the heart is not just a human organ. But the heart feels like it is a different entity, as if it is existing outside the body. It has a different language of its own. Okay, so you can see how literature and science has been combined. So there is this debate, where the aunties, I would say, they would tell you that okay, you are studying literature. What is so interesting about literature? After all, you are going to teach only, right? And you are only going to teach poetry, and we can all read poetry. We can all understand prose pieces. Like there is nothing innovative. Whereas in science, we see so many innovations are happening for the welfare of the human condition. So what are you doing? What is new about what you are doing? So I found this answer when I went to University of Hyderabad, and especially during my fourth semester when I studied New Humanities, where I see that literature has been linked with the human parts, human body parts, and I also saw environment is being linked with the literature as well. So there is this particular field called eco-criticism and eco-feminism. Eco-friendly comes and also feminism comes. So how you are linking both the ideologies together, right? And also you get to see in environmental humanities, we see how we have this particular novel named Sparda, okay, and it is a very underrated novel. I'm sure not many have heard about it. So in that novel we see how this particular area in Kerala, okay, the environmental problem of this particular area has been portrayed in the form of a beautiful novel, and how what problems and what demerits the people that are suffering. We get to see, okay, and also we see how oceanic studies are related to literature, the philosophical discourses around oceanic studies and the creatures which are there which you find underwater. So these are mainly subjects for people who are studying marine biology or biochemistry or microbiology. But then we see that even literature people are doing research on these topics. So you see that there is no you can't demarcate you can't draw a line and say that okay, literature is not innovative and science is not innovative.
Yeah, it's a new thing for me also, because I didn't even think of this. These things can also be merged with the concept of literature.
Yeah, even I didn't think of it. So when my elders asked me here, so every elder, people who take up humanities, they have to be somewhere, I don't know, they feel themselves answerable to the elders, because they would come up with questions like, why didn't you take up science? Okay. So I was actually fumbling for this answer throughout my graduation year, but finally I found the answer in my fourth semester. Okay, so now I have a concrete answer to give them only if they understand, or only if they want to understand. So this is the major difference that I found, and I'm sure Calcutta University, it will take at least another 10 to 20 years to actually think about this approach in this way. I'm not demeaning something, but then fact cannot be ignored, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm doing.
Okay, Pratiti, now for almost last 3 to 4 years, there is a
Yeah.
trend in the there is what I will say in the English. What I generally see during the admission of the college times, there is an English honors particular in a subject English. Okay, BA in English. But now there are some more topics that are coming up, like communicative English, English
Yes.
in application with journalism. Okay,
Yes.
applied English. I don't know why applied English. What concept I don't know. I know applied my biochemistry, biotechnology, but what applied English I don't know. So okay, so these are the parts that is being also offered as a graduation degree. So
Yes.
when a candidate take up this particular field, suppose say communication English, okay,
Yes.
so how it is being, these fields are being differentiated or being different from the common English graduation background.
Okay, so if you all right, so if we talk about how these are, see, these are recent like disciplines that are coming up. Okay, before that, like even 10 to 15 years before, suppose I took up late 90s. Okay, so from then only we see like there is a steady change in approach, but these subjects have not come up yet, had not come up yet. So in the traditional English curriculum, we feel like there is like you have to study the history of English literature, starting from the Old English
Oldest
period to
period.
whatever is happening now and whatever is ongoing. Okay, and then you have to study prose, poetry, novels. Okay, but if any student is planning to go for something which is more technical, suppose a student today is planning to go for corporate and not academic. So he or she might find that what do I do? Like why should I like study history of English literature if I'm planning to go to a corporate field where I have to be more technical? And where the only thing that they are going to check is my vocabulary. Not vocabulary, but my
Communication
communication skills.
skills.
Right. So they will be like, so they would feel, certainly they would feel that, so my entire first year of college or my entire first semester is being wasted behind studying
The history of
history of English literature. Okay. So they would find it to be a waste of time, but of course I believe that no knowledge is a waste, okay, because whatever you study, it comes back to you at the end of the day. Whether now or whether you are 80 years old, it doesn't matter when, but it does come back. But if anyone finds it that if he or she has a very technical approach, but then again that person is not very good in math and science subjects, so what do they do? And they don't want to study history too, so what do they do? So for people like these, to cater to people like these, to cater to okay, stop laughing. You're distracting me. Yeah.
Sorry.
To cater to such audiences, there have been subjects like these, like some, I can't say like disciplines, but sub-disciplines like applied English, communicative English, English with journalism. Suppose if anyone wants to go to the journalistic field, okay. So in journalistic field, what you will see is that the front page reporting that they do, that is something very important, and that is meant for everyone and not just for one or two educated people, right? So you can't use very bombastic or very flowery language because people need to understand what you are saying by a jiffy, because you are actually communicating important things. So suppose those people who want to take up journalism, they might feel that, all right, fine, so if I am taking up journalism, and if I am communicating with the mass, journalism or mass communication, that's what we say. If I am communicating with the mass, then why do I need to study Wordsworth? Why do I study Coleridge? I don't need, of course I need a good vocabulary, but I don't need a very archaic vocabulary. I don't need Shakespearean vocabulary for that. So they might feel that it's a waste of time, okay? And they might feel that I don't want to do it, alright? So they, perhaps to cater to those people who want to take up English as part of the journalistic course, or who want to go for journalism in future, so for them it's meant, like these subjects are meant, and it's also important that we cater to all sorts of audience, right? So we are no longer living in the 19th century, we have traveled far beyond, so I believe that these steps are positive steps.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Now, in English, vocabulary is one of the most important thing. Okay, and most
Yeah,
of the
it
people
is.
lacks in that concept. Okay, they will
Yeah,
write
it
a
is.
very good English, but whenever they will come in front of a microphone, they will flutter. Okay,
Yeah.
they will jitter, and the whole thing is messed up. So, what will be
Yes.
your suggestions in order to improve a vocabulary? Because studying in an English literature field, vocabulary is one of the most important concepts, especially during
Very
speaking.
important. Yes, of course. So actually, the thing is that I would, of course, state my own personal experience. So I lacked fluency in English till my 12th grade. Okay, and I actually did not work on that. I was like, okay, fine. Like when I'm sitting for my exams, they are not checking my vocabulary. I just have to write down my answer, and I can think. So that was my approach. I thought that fine, I don't need to work on it. Okay. But then when I went for my college, when I started going to college, like we had presentations every month. And when there are presentations, of course you would know, we have to speak.
Speak.
There is no other option and you cannot evade. Suppose we are making a group presentation, every member of the group has to
Should
speak.
speak.
Okay? Alright, and also you cannot evade. Just because you cannot evade, you have to, and also when you are in front of a whole public, of course it happens with all of us, we get nervous. It happened to me as well. My mouth used to dry up. I could find myself being unable to speak, communicate. Like I could not utter a single
Single
word.
word.
Okay, so what I did was that I started reading more and more books, alright? And what I did was that as I was reading the book, whatever attractive phrase that caught my eye, I would underline that and I would try to apply that in the regular usage. Okay, so this is how I tried to improve my vocabulary, and I won't say like I've completely mastered the art. I'm still in the process of doing so. And also I have improved myself like in a long way because after that I have been giving too many presentations. And so in University of Hyderabad, one of our internal marks used to be on presenting. Okay. So I gave almost about 20 to 30 presentations in the last 2 years. So that was what actually helped me improve my vocabulary. I can't say like it has reached the perfection. Of course, nothing reaches a perfection.
Perfection.
We all strive for perfection, right? So what I did was that I'm still doing that, and I used to read books, and I used to underline the important catchphrases, okay, and then I would put it into regular usage, and then I would try to frame sentences out of that. I would do creative writing. This was how I tried to improve my vocabulary, and I think it's like improving. And also now I'm a teacher, so all I have to do is talk throughout the day while teaching. So that is also helping me in a big way. So I would suggest people to actually read books and to watch news channels. Okay, and even when you are watching TV series, even subtitles help you to improve your vocabulary because that they did in my case. So, like, there are multiple ways of improving the vocabulary. So, and also our main medium of communication is English these days. So I don't think like there is much of a problem in improving. Like it comes as a reflex action because whatever we are reading on Facebook, whatever we are posting on Facebook, we are either reading them in English or we are writing them in English, right? So improving vocabulary is not a big thing, but when you are speaking in front of in front of a whole gathering, then it takes a lot of courage to actually like open your bundle of words and then put them out and how to use them, how to properly implement them. Because you are using like high sounding words and you feel that okay, like that will attract the attention of the audience. But how grammatically correct they are,
Correct it is,
you
yes,
also
yes.
have to take that into account. Right? So that would like you can improve that by not by reading books, but also I know like there are a lot of people who lack patience when it comes to reading books. So they can read newspapers or they can read the news articles which come up or the news leads. Anything helps. So it's not a big deal to improve vocabulary these days.
Okay, you have completed your masters. Okay,
Yeah.
and in this kind of things, doing after English honors, what is your views? Okay, or what made you to do your higher studies? Okay,
Okay. So what made me do my higher studies? Okay.
or
So
general
actually,
or your general view in doing higher studies?
Okay. So actually, till my graduation, I thought that okay, I'll complete my masters. Like, of course, there was a family pressure to, like, my parents wanted me to pursue masters. Like after graduation only, I wanted to like go for jobs and apply for jobs.
Okay.
But I had no plan to apply for masters, and then my parents suggested that no, you have to do it, okay? Because masters, like if you are just a graduate, then it doesn't hold any value.
Okay.
So you should explore yourself more. So of course, like I paid heed to their ideas, I paid heed to their views, and then I thought that okay, fine. Also, I wanted to study in a good university. Okay. So I thought that if I'm studying masters, I'll do it in a good university. So that was something, because it was a dream, and going to a central university was something that I had never dreamt of. Okay, because it takes like very difficult to get into a central university. It's very difficult. Okay, and also I was like hell bent on not doing masters under Calcutta University, because as I told you, like there are a bunch of demerits more than the merits when you are studying here. So I thought that no, I can't waste 2 years of my life in Calcutta University. I want a different approach now. Okay, so that was the reason why. So the first factor which actually pushed me to do masters was my parents, and the second factor was me trying to, desperately get into a central university, because that was my dream. Personally for me, I thought that okay, that like if I can make the dream come true, how would it feel like? Alright, so that's, of course, it came true again. Like I never thought that I would get into HCU, but then I got. So after I went into HCU, and after I mixed with my classmates there, so I saw that most of them were hell-bent to go get into the academic field. Like most of them want to be a professor, and most of them want to do a PhD degree. Okay. So I was like, no, I won't do it. Okay. But then, while studying, like during my course of study there for 2 years, I was like, okay, no, I'm actually getting more attracted to the discipline, and I actually want to explore more. And how can I explore more? Like if I take up a job and if I leave academics altogether, then my exploration is going to be incomplete, and I don't want that. So I was like, okay, fine, I would also get into academics. So right now I'm a teacher. Right now I have taken a break from academia, and I'm like exploring myself as a teacher. And also of course, like this would help me gather some experience, because I want to get into the teaching line only. So after 3 years, I think I would get back into academia only for my PhD. And also, what made me choose higher studies was my love towards the subject. Because if you don't love the field in which you are working, then I don't believe that there is any satisfaction. You want to leave it then and there, but I don't want to. I'm still, even now, while teaching, I'm simultaneously exploring the Russian literature or Czech literature or Brazilian literature. So you feel like there is no end to exploration, and I just want to explore throughout my life. I'm very adventurous when it comes to that. So yeah.
Okay, Pratiti, it's a very interactive session with you, because the way you told the things, I also didn't know this much of things within this, because it is also an interactive session for me also. Okay, I will come up with the last question for this session. Okay,
Yes.
Your experience of being a part of this show and your message to the audience.
Okay, so I believe, Rohan, that whatever you are doing, like you have taken up a great initiative during this pandemic situation.
Thank you.
Since most of us are, so there is a general air of depression around because of whatever is going on. We see death tolls rising, we see the number of people being affected increasing day by day, but also we need distraction from that. So what you are doing, you are actually engaging in a creative distraction for most people. So, and you are also talking about something which I believe is not only creative, not only enlightening, but also it would help the future generations. Like if they see your show, they would get an idea about what they want and what they want to do. Very specific ideas. And I have seen your videos; they are all amazing. And all the people you have called to your show, they are so articulate and they are so eloquent. And I really enjoyed watching the videos. And I'm really thankful to you for inviting me to this show. Okay. and I also got to share my own experience. So this was a very important platform for me to break the stereotype that literature is not innovative. So I thank
Exactly.
you for
This
giving
is
me
the
the
thing
platform.
I learned from this session particularly, because this the situation or this kind of, it is out of the box. Okay, generally what we
Yes,
think the literature means, okay, that the old history of literature, Shakespeare, Wordsworth, all this, but
yes,
merging technology with English literature, it's really out of
yes.
the box. Yeah.
Yes, it's totally out of the box, and I thank you for giving me the platform to share this view, to break the stereotype in a very small or a big way. I believe in a big way because many people are going to watch the video. So I hope more people will actually get this very cliched idea out of their heads that humanities means that you only mug up and you vomit
Yeah,
during the exam. That is not how what it is. Okay, there is as much scope for exploration and as much scope for innovation in humanities as it is in science. And we are coming up with interdisciplinary subjects these days, so we cannot just put demarcations and put them in boxes. This is science, this is humanities, this is commerce. No. And even we see the changes in the education policy, like
policy, yeah.
everyone has to study all the subjects till the 12th grade.
12th.
So you cannot put anything in a box, like nothing can be put in a box. So of course we have to change our views and we have to change our old outlook. So that is there. And thank you so much. I think Rohan, you are doing a great job calling people, experienced people. Like I hope this show thrives and it gets popular and critical and popular acclaim both.
Okay, thank you so much for your compliments, and I will ask the viewers to have a view to it. Okay, because this is really a special episode. Okay, she made it really special. Okay, you have to think out of the box now. Okay, because before doing something, so have a view to it, and if you have any queries, please reach us to comment section. And that's all for today. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.